What is up, you guys, and welcome back. So we got some splaining to do. On an exciting note, we finally got married. We be hitched. Finally. You're not wearing it. I hate you. We finally got married. Logan finally remembered where his ring was. I broke my foot, sprained all the muscles in the side of my foot, ripped all the ligaments in the top of my foot from mowing my lawn. One day, I was going grocery shopping to spend too much money on groceries. And lately I've been in a big, horror movie judge thing. And so I texted Logan and I was like, I have this crazy idea. Let's watch a new horror or Halloween theme-esque movie every day in October. And let's film a video about it. That being said, should probably explain why it is now October 9th. And we are just posting our first video. Basically, Charter messed up our Wi-Fi. We went this whole last week without Wi-Fi. But on the plus side, Logan and I, when we moved and decided to go digital, we still kept all of our old DVDs. At the end of the day, we watched 8/9 movies, and we're here to talk about them. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into our first 8 films in our 31 Nights of Horror. Okay, so with the announcement of Scream 5 that is now being pushed to 2022, we decided to sit down and watch all 4 Scream movies. So, Scream 1. Initial thoughts.
It's very much a movie of its time. It did what it was meant to do. The entire premise of the Scream movies is to poke fun at the usual tropes of every horror and slasher flick. The acting was good for its time, but doesn't age well. The script is also not fantastic.
To be fair, when we first saw Courtney Cox and it all started happening, I turned to Logan and I was like, oh my god, who knew Courtney Cox could act? Who is she?
Bottom line, the movie, like I said, was very much of its time, but I think it was enjoyable.
So here's my biggest thing with that movie though, is going into the movie, I knew nothing about it, virtually nothing. And I saw the cast and I was like, oh my god, Miss Drew Barrymore is at the top! She's gonna be in this film! She's gonna be a part of it!
For all
Only
the 5
for
minutes.
her to die in literally the first 5 minutes of the movie. Which, why would you do an iconic bisexual queen like that? Okay.
But that scene itself, the whole setup for the first movie, that is the icon of this entire Scream franchise.
Like when you think of Scream, you do think of that scene. Overall, like you said, is the acting wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. Remembering that it was a movie made in the 90s, it was a decent film. For me, going into the movie, the beginning got my attention right away. I was like, I'm gonna love these movies. I can tell you right here, right now. It had gore right away. I loved the comedic relief. But then you get to the middle of the movie, and then I was literally sitting there I have no idea who the killer is.
The Scream movies do such a great job of really kind of shifting focus. They seem to make it so obvious that it's this character. Well, then maybe it's obvious that it's this character. You never truly really know where it's going. And just when you think that you have it fully figured out, turns out it was the first person that you thought, and they totally pulled the rug out from under you.
Spoiler alert. But I will say, I was completely shocked that Stu is in on it.
Yeah.
I had guessed Billy from the beginning. They did a really good job at making him a major character, but not major enough that you thought that he could have anything to do with it.
They kind of made him a comedic relief, so it's almost, you never expect those characters to really play such an integral part later on. But now, if you go back, it's one of those movies where if you go back, some of the conversations they have that you just wrote off as this is just stupid high school boys, it's all sociopathic and really...
Especially when they're sitting on the water fountain talking, you're like, okay, sis, I see you. Overall, I give Scream 1 a 6.5 out of 10. Moving on to Scream 2. We roll up with Miss Jada Pinkett Smith at the time, Miss Jada Pinkett. But again, I was like, we about to have a scary movie with Jada Pinkett. Girl, this movie is so meta that they went to a filming of a movie based off the movie that you are watching. quickly there when her boyfriend, spoiler alert, when her boyfriend gets killed, you're like, okay, so this is about to be a Drew Barrymore moment, and this movie has nothing to do with Jada Pinkett. Nev is off at college. They introduce too many characters that you never really get to know and get a connection with. That's my biggest thing with this whole movie is like, why am I supposed to care about these characters? And then it ends up that one character that you don't even think about the entire movie ends up being the murderer.
What the second movie did well is they did bury the lead for who the killer was and or killers were. Just in like how low-key everything was. The characters that end up being the killers are present and in your face multiple times throughout the movie. But these ones are never really drawn to like the other main characters that you see in it that you're like, that person is the killer. These ones are done very well at hiding. I will say it's the standout of the movie.
I guess I only have bad things to say about this movie. It feels like the script is so rushed because of how many times they had to rewrite it. They released it only a year and a half after Scream 1 was released. It was being produced while Scream 1 was still in theaters. It was so rushed, and it very clearly came off in the script, and it made it seem like they were going from one murder to the next rather than like trying to build a story. And that, to me, showed greatly throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. The whole movie feels like it was, like you said, a rush production, but even the movie itself kind of feels extremely rushed.
Yeah.
Like they were just looking to get where they needed to go. It's pretty sloppy in a lot of areas. It's not the shining moment of the series.
So I went on Letterboxd and places like that to look at fan reviews, and most of the fans agree with me that like Scream 1 is better than Scream 2. I liked it, it just wasn't great. Like I said, to me it seemed rushed. There were not really any good murders, you kind of saw them all coming. Like I said, the only thing you really didn't see coming is who the actual murderer was. So with that being said, I give Scream 2 a 4.5 out of 10.
Oof.
Scream 3 starts off, Miss Thing, off in the woods by herself. One thing I really liked about this movie is you could tell they worked on their fight choreography and their story. Because they were finally like, wow, Sydney has been through this twice already, she a babby. So they finally like let her fight back, she kicked some ass. Overall, I don't think this story is great. I don't think it's awful.
My biggest problem with Scream 3 is the entire series up to this point has been about poking fun at the horror genre in general. The third movie, like, thinks it's so superior and tongue-in-cheek that it goes on to be so meta to make fun of itself.
Yeah.
It talks about rush production in a horror film, which was the falling short in the second film. It talks about the character archetypes and everything to an even further degree because you're actually seeing actors participate in the filming of a movie just like the one you're watching.
Yeah.
So it's a little too, it thinks too highly of itself. That being said, I still place it above the second film, and I think that the overall story of it is at least engaging.
One thing I did hate is who the murderer was. Spoiler alert.
That's the thing, is the last minute twist to have the killer turn out to be Sydney's long lost illegitimate brother. That's some soap opera crap that we do not need in our lives.
So, Scream 4, the final installment in this franchise. Well, at
So
the time,
far.
we were told the final installment.
We were told the final for the third one.
Yeah, that's true. A decade later, we come back. Miss Lucy Hale, Miss Britt Robertson.
And Kristen Bell, Anna
Oh
Paquin.
yeah, that's T. Forgot about them. I liked Scream 4. I didn't necessarily need it, but I'm glad we got it. I think it's one of the best movies Emma Roberts has ever done in her career. Spoiler alert. I loved the twist that she was the killer, that like she was trying to take over Sydney's place because Sydney was taking all the attention in the family. Like, it was a great story. To me, they could have ended it right there and then keep doing the Scream movies right then and there because that would have been such a good storyline. But I feel like Scream 4 was like a, hey, let's kind of like Gilmore Girls: A Year in the Life. Like, let's get the gang back together to end it how we want to end it and make more money because we're all broke now. I feel like that's what Scream 4 was. I feel like it was a giant cash grab. It worked better than a lot of cash grabs in modern day society, but I sadly think that that's what's happening again with Scream 5, is it's another cash grab.
Good things about Scream 4 is that I feel like it really did kind of pump new life into the film, but where it falls in that area is that it really sets you up to think that maybe we'll retire Nev as the lead actress for it, which I don't necessarily think that it needed that, but there is something to be said about the next generation carrying on the legacy, and I think that it would have been great that way, but they just pulled a bait and switch at the last minute, and plot twist, Nev's not going anywhere.
Overall, I liked it. I think Scream 4 is my second favorite out of all of them. For me, it goes the first Scream, Scream 4, Scream 3, and then Scream 2. So overall, I would give Scream 4 probably a 6 out of 10. But, with that being said, we enjoyed most of the movies we watched in this past week. We are excited, some sneak peeks of what we have. As Above, So Below, the Saw movies, The Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix comes out today. I am so excited to binge it all day long. I cannot wait. So yeah, those are just a couple of the things we have coming in our 31 Nights of Horror. So, stay tuned, be on the lookout, comment, like, subscribe. As always, we love y'all. Thank you for all the support. We're gonna go enjoy married life now. Have a good night, guys.